Serious, what was your biggest "we need to leave now" moment? When I was 15, a friend and I went for a lot of walks around town. Small town. Around 5 to 6K people. We were going to the cyber cafe in town to meet a few friends, and we often took different streets to get places. Just to keep it interesting. We were about to go to Main Street off one of the side streets, and a man on a bicycle approached us. He got off his bike and asked us a couple small talk questions. Something didn't seem right about him. He was probably mid-40s. We both kept inching away but didn't want to come off as too rude. So we answered about the weather or traffic. Then he paused and we said we had to go. And he said, and I'll never forget it, "You look so young. I don't want to get in trouble, but I need to touch someone. I just need to touch you. You should come with me." And he started rambling. I just felt terror. Couldn't even speak. I grabbed my friend's hand and turned. We sprinted the rest of the way to the cafe, and as soon as we were inside we asked to use the phone. I called my mom to pick us up while my friend told the worker what happened and what the guy looked like. A month later I got my first cell phone. About 2 months ago I'd stayed up past my usual bedtime, and as soon as I got in bed, I smelled something odd and was hearing some inconsistent banging and clattering from downstairs. I don't live in a great neighborhood, so none of this was unusual, but I got out of bed to check anyway and saw flames licking up the side of the building. Yelled at my wife to get out of bed and threw on some clothes, and we hightailed it out. Our building has a shared wall with the next, and that one had an apartment on the ground floor, fully engulfed. By the time we made it outside, ended up condemning the whole building. I was the first one to call 911. Have been jerking myself awake in the night pretty consistently since then. I was waiting for an Uber on the outskirts of Atlanta with a couple friends around 10 p.m. We were just shooting the shit after leaving a nearby restaurant and talking about what bar to go to. A disheveled older man walked up a few feet behind one of my friends and struck a weird pose for 2 to 3 minutes while looking in our direction, and there was no one else around. Then he walked off without saying a word. He came back a few minutes later and sat down on the sidewalk about feet away from us. At this point I'm just wondering if he wants something from us, because there was absolutely no other reason to plop down that close to us on an empty sidewalk. Then a small sedan pulls in a nearby parking lot, parking behind some bushes in the spot closest to us, and consequently furthest from any of the shops in that lot. I only noticed because I happened to be facing that direction, but then saw 6 guys pile out of the sedan and immediately cross the street directly towards us. I realized there were not any shops or restaurants still open nearby. It suddenly occurred to me that the strange dude might have been sizing us up when he was watching us earlier. And he care back to mark us. We were all dressed nice with smartphones out and watches visible. Basically the fanciest stuff we had for a night out. Right as I started to speak up that we should head back towards other people, our Uber pulled up to the curb. As we drove away, I watched those 6 guys talking in a circle where we had just been standing. And then they crossed the street again and got back in their car. I'll never have a definitive answer, but I'm pretty sure we were 10 seconds away from some unfortunate shenanigans. I work as an engineer in a data center cooling plant. We're responsible for basically everything in the building: mechanical, electrical, HVAC, plumbing. So the engineer I'm relieving tells me there's an odd sound coming from the Con Ed vaults. This is where these huge transformers are that step down from 26,000 volts or so to a voltage the building can actually use. We are not allowed in those vaults. They're locked and only Con Ed has the key. So he leaves, and I take a walk by the vaults. I had never actually heard electricity arcing through the air before, but I knew I was hearing it then. I called Con Ed's emergency line and told them to get out there ASAP. A crew of 2 guys show up. They seem calm and disinterested in the elevator on the way up. It's probably just a contact chattering, they said. We get off the elevator and start heading down the hall. The sound was way louder now. We weren't even near the vaults and there was no mistaking it. Both guys stopped dead in their tracks and kind of hunkered down. I saw the color drain from them. Wasted no time getting back in that elevator. If you've never seen video of a large transformer explosion, go check YouTube. These transformers are not like the ones you see up on utility poles. They're as big as a couple of trucks stacked on top of each other. Anyone on the floor when one of them cooked off would be gone. And we have 8 of them. Posted this before, but was very late to the party. I was on a date with a girl hiking a trail system that I knew like the back of my hand. Something felt weird but I shook it. We went in around sunset. We were going to swim in one of the deep pools in the creek. Maybe 2 tiles into the trail I get the feeling again. And she's talking her head off. But I was just listening to everything around me. I told her to stop talking. And she looked at me very concerned. I just put my finger to my lips and listened. I heard something familiar but I couldn't place it. We never stopped walking. We came to the arroyo just before the creek pool. And I heard it again. By this time I knew. I told her we were going to walk to the clearing where the arroyo was at and turn around. She told me she heard something weird. As we carne to the clearing we stood there like statues. Dead silent. Her nails cut my arm from gripping it so hard. Then around 15 feet from us, the biggest mountain lion I've ever seen crossed the clearing with 2 of its young. She looked at us. And as our eyes met, my soul left my body. And I felt her grip tighten around my arm even tighter. She stopped and so did her babies. I'm guessing she sized us up, and then just kept going. The babies kept turning around looking at us. But ultimately they just slowly crossed the top of the hill and that was that. We turned around and told everyone we saw on the way and that there was 3 mountain lions on the trail. They all turned around and left. That was the first time I was ever scared out in nature. I didn't have a handgun on me. I had been there 100 times. She told me the sound she heard was a deep purring. And that was what I kept hearing also. I just hadn't put it together. When I was a paramedic, I was in a basement taking care of a shooting victim. The fire department had not arrived yet. The cop, having cleared the basement, was not with me at the time and my partner was in the ambulance getting some equipment I needed. As I was kneeling down working on my patient with 100% focus, I felt a hard steel object placed on the back of my head. It was a shotgun. The shooter apparently was still in the basement and I was alone with him. He told me he shot this guy for a reason and gave me an opportunity to leave. I left at a party when I was about 19. I was on the top floor with my friend and he mentioned to me that he and the guy in the corner had been in a pretty nasty fight about a year ago. That guy is giving us some eyes and staring us down. My friend said not to worry. But I did not like the vibe this guy was giving. I saw the guy talk to his friend and send him out of the room. I told my buddy, "Nope, we are leaving now." Much to his protest, as there was a GITL he liked at this party. I practically ran down the stairs, grabbed our other friend by the hood of his sweatshirt and ran to the car. As we are backing out of this long country driveway, I see the guy, his buddy and 4 more of them run out of the house with baseball bats and they chased us down the driveway. So damn glad we got out of there when we did. About a decade ago, I was driving my Miata with a friend to a track about 4 hours from home. We left after dinner the night before so we could wake up there and get an early start. About an hour from our destination, 1 p.m. a crazy summer storm hit, heavy rain, high wind gusts, lots of debris. I told my buddy that early 90s windshield wipers couldn't keep up. I couldn't see shit, and I just felt like I was white-knuckling the steering wheel. I decided to hit the exit. We'd get some late-night food at a Waffle House and wait out the storm. We sat down, and I had a TV in sight and I was casually watching. Almost immediately, a weather map came up and showed a tornado pass right over where we would have been a few minutes later had I not exited. Driving to Disney with hubs and 2 little kids. 48 to 5. Stopped at a gas station in Tifton. Ga at about 10 p.m. Wander in a little bleary-eyed with the 2 kids looking for the bathroom. Clerk looks at me funny and points. While I'm in there I hear, she's got 2 babies with her man. Just let them pee and go. I grab both kids and walk straight back to the car with only a small head nod to the clerk. Hubs was done pumping gas and about to go in himself. I yelled for everyone to get in the car. I would explain later. As soon as we pulled out I called 911. The operator told me they were already en route and to vacate the scene. Took my info and wished us a fun trip. Walked into a gas station robbery with 2 little kids. Peed and left with no issues. Bad gas wasn't that bad of a guy and let us go. I was at a club and a guy pulled up and parked next to us as we were getting out to head in. The guy then proceeded to reach in the back of his SUV and pull out a shotgun. He looked over at us and told us, "It's finna go down." We got back in our vehicle and noped out.